4 days. Later my mother passed away, so I am not sure if that had anything to do with that, but it has been lingering in my head. These are some paranormal activities my family has gone through. Thankfully, I have not seen or heard anything as scary as my sister. I admit I am a scaredycat, but on the contrary, my twin sister has had some experiences through the years. For context, we lived in an old house from around the early 1900s. Supposedly, the family that lived in my grandparents' house had a house fire where their daughter passed. We did not know about this until after my sister's experience. When we were around 12, she claims she woke up in the middle of the night and saw a pretty little girl with braids with her arms on the bed and her chin resting on them watching. She said she was very close, but once my sister realized that this little girl should have been there, she closed her eyes and hung onto her blanket scared. Days later, she told my grandparents because she just felt scared. She says the girl never gave her a bad feeling, but the fact that she knew she wasn't supposed to be there made her feel scared. My grandparents said they had never seen anything, but my uncle, who was just a couple of years older, shares that him and his girlfriend, now wife, had experienced some things. My uncle was getting ready to go out and his girlfriend was waiting in the living room. When he came out of the bathroom, she asked him if he had left the water on. He also heard the water running, but when he went back, the water was off. Then before they left again, they heard the water running, so he went back and this time the water was running. He felt it was odd, but he usually tries to look for the most logic reasons. Back to my sister. As the years passed, she would constantly tell our parent that I heard this or that, or I saw a shot of my mom, who never experienced any paranormal, would tell my sister it was because she liked to see paranormal shows and videos. These next paragraphs will be her experiences at the department store she worked at. She started working at a mall in one of those brand stores. She worked at the customer service counter. This was on the 3rd floor of the store. Usually she had to let all of the employees out and then she had to wait for the manager and the store guard, so she would be one of the only ones in the store when closing. At first she said she could only hear how hangers would clink against each other. She found this odd since she was supposed to be one of the only ones in the whole store, but she would just deal with it, thinking it was her imagination and the echoes of the day. One day as she was closing, she heard something in the offices behind the counter, so she told the security guy if he could check if someone was there before they left. She got the creeps when he looked her in the eye and said, "Get your stuff and let's go." She even questioned him again and said, "What if someone is hitting there or something?" He again said, "Just ignore it and let's go." So they did. Another time she went to the lunch room and it was just her in there. She heated her food and sat to eat. In the room there is a storage room when they keep mannequins and other things. She swears she heard the door creak and it opened a little. She said she froze and just waited to see who was coming out. Well, no one ever did. So she grabbed her food and left in a hurry. She said she had the chills and the scariest and weirdest feeling. She know the lady that worked on cameras, so she asked her if someone had gone in there before her and not come out, or if she could see anything. She said no one went there before her, but they could see the door crack open. After that, she would only go in to eat if there were more people. Remember the hangers clinking against each other? Well, she said they were leaving. Walking on the hallway, she was already scared and nervous every time she had to close, so she would walk close to the manager and the security guard. She says she does not understand how her purse got stuck to a hanger, since she was wailing in the middle of the hall and in between her manager and the guard. They joked that the ghost wanted her to stay, but for her it just built up the creepy slash scary feelings. Almost done. 2 or 3 more stories. One time she had to train a new customer service employee. Let me try to explain the setting to give context. Customer service is pretty wide. To both edges on the right and on the left there are hallways towards the offices on the back. There is a meeting room on one of the sides. Well, she said they were getting ready for the last couple of hours of work and that all of a sudden in the meeting room they hear loud commotion, chairs and tables being thrown. Someone or something was very upset, but there was no meeting and no one was supposed to be in there. My sister said she got nervous because she knew that there was something in there, but acted like nothing until the new girl was wondering and wanted to see. My sister told her not to go and to just ignore it because there was no one in there. She said maybe she was mean to her because she told her, "If you go in there and something happens, I will grab my stuff and run away, so just ignore it." They continued working and never talked about it. One of her experiences that pushed her to her limit was that one night as she worked with one of the older ladies that had trained her and with whom she enjoyed working with. They were closing their cashiers. She was on the far left corner and the lady was on the other side. All of a sudden the lady screamed. My sister got scared and asked her if she was okay. The lady was pale and looked scared, so she asked her again, but the lady refused to tell her, so she asked her again and told her she needed to tell her since she was going to stay there by herself. The lady told her there was a man, but he looked weird and he was leaning in as if he was going to whisper slash my sister something in the ear. She said she got really freaked out and practically begged her to close the store together. After this she hit rock bottom and decided to look for another job. My experience so far happened a couple of weeks ago. On a Sunday my parents and sister went to the hospital to get my dad checked out. I stayed home with my brother. We were asleep in the TV room, which has a clear view of the kitchen. I was asleep and I woke up because I heard something. I am not sure if it was in my sleep or what, but I think I clearly saw a figure go into the kitchen. I assumed my parents were back, but as I continued to listen and watch the kitchen, I realized there was no one else. I felt a little scared, so I turned around and hugged my brother. 4 days later, my mother passed away, so I am not sure if that had anything to do with that, but it has been lingering in my head. These are some paranormal activities my family has gone through.